Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. President Donald Trump unveiled TrumpRx.gov yesterday, a new government-backed website aimed at giving Americans access to discounted prescription drugs. We have all the details for you. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt hit back at media outlets questioning the FBI's seizure of ballots and other documents related to the 2020 election in Fulton County, Georgia. This after years of the media claiming that Russia influenced the 2016 election. A California man is facing criminal charges after allegedly demanding Bitcoin payments from the family of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, who, of course, disappeared Sunday in Tucson, Arizona. We have an update on the continued search for Today host Savannah Guthrie's mom. And also today, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette joins us to talk about the Parental Rights Act. And with the midterm about to kick off, candidates are already hitting the campaign trail. David Atchley has announced he will be challenging incumbent Congressman William Timmons in this year's GOP primary. David joins us in today's show as well.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
An update on the missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Law enforcement was spotted yesterday again canvassing Annie Guthrie's neighborhood, one of the daughters. Miss Guthrie was last seen, of course, with family members Saturday night, reported missing by family members the following day on Sunday. Officers were caught on video in the neighborhood yesterday near her daughter Annie's neighborhood, knocking on doors, entering homes, and asking about security cameras and video footage that the neighbors might possibly have. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said it has not ruled out anyone in relationship to her disappearance. Meanwhile, Miss Guthrie's son sent a message to her alleged captors yesterday, pleading with them to make contact with the family. In a video that was posted to his sister, Savannah Guthrie's Instagram account, Cameron Guthrie read this statement. This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out. We need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we're waiting for contact. The message came around the time an alleged ransom note tied to the case went past one of its first deadlines. An Arizona news anchor who read the alleged ransom note tied to the disappearance described the letter as quite detailed, expressing concern about authorities' ability to track down the sender. KOLD anchor Mary Coleman said that she was on the Will Cain show yesterday on Fox, said that the station received the ransom note mentioning Guthrie through its main tip line. Coleman said, we take all of them with a grain of salt, but upon reading it and seeing some of those details that perhaps others might not know, the amount that they were requesting and things like that, we were pretty alarmed pretty quickly. Coleman explained that she could not share the consequences outlined in the letter if authorities missed the first deadline, which was yesterday at 5 p.m., or the second deadline, which is coming up on Monday, but said the note implies that something needs to be done in order to meet that timeline. She added she was curious if authorities would release more details about the note, as the sender did not provide a way to communicate with them. Thus, the video that the Sun put out yesterday trying to get the abductors to reach out to the family. Now, one final thing. A California man was arrested and is facing criminal charges after allegedly demanding Bitcoin payments from the family of Miss Guthrie. Derek Kalela, 42 years old, of Hawthorne, California, is charged with transmitting a ransom demand related to a kidnapped person and anonymous interstate communications intended to harass or threaten. Court documents allege that a Tucson TV station received the ransom demand via its online tip portal, possibly the same station that I was just talking about, but not confirmed. After the family released a public plea on video, Guthrie's daughter and son-in-law each received texts demanding confirmation of payment. Authorities claimed the texts were traced to an email account belonging to Mr. Kalela and an IP address showing that it was sent from his home. He allegedly admitted to investigators he sent the text and called the family to follow up, leading authorities to obtain an arrest warrant. The earlier ransom note sent to the TV station has not been directly linked to the text, according to documents. So we continue to follow this very sad story. Regardless of what you think about Savannah Guthrie and her politics, it's just it's sad for anyone to be missing like this. President Donald Trump unveiled TrumpRx.gov yesterday. This is a new government-backed website, and he says it's going to give Americans access to discounted prescription drugs. Speaking at the website launch at the White House, President Trump argued that Americans have long paid far more for prescription drugs than consumers in other countries and called the price differences unprecedented. He gave us some examples of some of the savings we can expect.
Come all the way down by a difference of as much as 300, 400, 500, even 600%, even more than that in some cases. For example, you will see dramatic reductions in the cost of popular weight loss drugs known as GLP-1s. Novo Nordisk will be slashing the price, as an example, of Ozempic from more than $1,000 to $199, and the price of Wegovy from more than $1,300 to $199. Nobody can even believe it. A 578% difference. Eli Lilly, who's been very helpful to us in getting this done, will be cutting the cost of its common insulin, drug, and medication from $200 to $25. Nobody can believe it. $200 to $25. AstraZeneca is slashing the price of a common inhaler from $458 to $51, a difference of nearly 800%. And we're also delivering historic discounts for couples struggling with infertility, as EMD Serrano will dramatically cut the cost of its most common IVF drugs. For example, a single dose of the most common IVF drug in the country, Gonal F, will plummet from the highest price in the developed world that we paid. The United States was subsidizing everybody. We paid the highest to the lowest price in the world, which will be demonstrating very shortly. We have some very talented people coming up and showing you how it's going to work and how the website works. All of these discounts and more will be available directly to consumers starting today at TrumpRx.gov.
The president and others at the news conference went into a lot of detail about how, despite accounting for a small share of the global population, Americans bear a disproportionate share of drug cost. It's just crazy that companies who call the United States their home, who do the research and development for these drugs, and they gouge us when they sell them for a third of the price in other countries. As you heard some of the numbers mentioned there. President announced a website at a White House event alongside Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Oz, National Design Studio Director Joe Gebbia, the Airbnb co-founder advising the administration on digital design and user experience. The initiative follows agreements between President Trump's administration and 16 of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies under so-called most favored nation pricing deals. The president said that all of these discounts and more will be available directly to consumers starting yesterday at TrumpRx.gov, adding that 16 of the 17 largest pharmaceutical companies have signed on, with the remaining company expected to join soon. And I can imagine they will. They'll be pressured to do so. Now, in exchange for exemptions from U.S. tariffs, participating drug makers agreed to lower prices for federal Medicaid programs and extend those reduced prices to cash-paying consumers through this website, TrumpRx. Among the participating companies, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, which agreed to cut prices on some of the popular weight loss drugs. The administration said the agreements are expected to reduce monthly costs for Americans to an average of $149 to $350. He cited reductions in weight loss drugs and inhalers, as well as fertility treatment. So this is all good news. I mean, this is amazing, and it just shows you that these companies can, in fact, cut these prices if they want to, and that's the key. In the past, they've just been allowed to get away with it. They've been allowed to charge us much higher prices. Donald Trump, this was one of his campaign promises, that he was going to further cut the cost of prescription drugs, which is going to affect just about every single person in the country, and particularly seniors. Just another example of a promise that he's made reality. Joey Hudson here. You tried keto, paleo, Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting. You lose weight, then it comes right back. You blame yourself, your willpower, your discipline. But here's the truth. It was never about willpower. There's one thing that determines whether your body burns fat or stores it, and if you don't fix that first, every diet will fail. At PhD Weight Loss, they identify that one thing, and they build a plan that works with your body, not against it. And if you call now, you're going to get 2 weeks free in the program, and they'll pay for your food so you can finally see real answers without more trial and error. If you've done the yo-yo dieting and want clarity, call PhD Weight Loss now and mention Joey Hudson. No more guessing, just answers. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900. Say Joey Hudson. That's 864-644-1900. Also find them online at myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com. Do it once and for all. Lose the weight the right way by calling PhD Weight Loss today. Joining me today on the guest line, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Welcome. We made it through another snow.
We did, Joey. Now I'm just praying that we don't have anything else coming in this weekend. We need a weekend without any kind of wintry mix, wintry weather, snow falling. We just need a good South Carolina weekend. 80 degrees, sun is out, birds are singing. That's much better.
Well, right now I think we're headed in that direction. It looks like we're going to have a nice sunny weekend with temperatures in the mid 40s. So we can deal with that based on what we've had to deal with the past few weekends. So yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna complain based on the last few weekends. That's for sure.
Yep, we survived, so that's the good news. The snow and the ice has not slowed down the General Assembly. The Parental Rights Act is getting closer to reality as the South Carolina House looks like they're going to pass the legislation. Now, if passed, this bill would give South Carolina parents more say over their children's education, medical decisions, just some of those decisions that they really shouldn't be making until they turn 18. Talk about this for a minute. Why is this important?
Well, if you would have said 10 years ago that we had to pass a bill like this, everybody thought we were losing our minds. But because you have the left trying to take away parents' voice, parents' rights, we have to make sure we put it into law. It's kind of like when we had to make a law that says you can't close churches, like a governor couldn't close churches. It wasn't because anybody was afraid Governor McMaster or I would close a church. But you have to look down the road and say, okay, what could happen if there was ever a pandemic and heaven forbid there was a Democrat at the helm?
Yeah.
And that's what this bill is doing is crazy as it seems. And I say this all the time. I did a Post and Courier puts on these politics and pints events. And that was the first question they asked me, like out of the box, was like, measles is on the rise. And, what are you going to do to make sure parents are vaccinating their kids? And it's like, listen, parents make their own informed decisions about their children.
Yeah.
And they said, well, so you think it's okay that measles is coming back? And I said, no, I think it's terrible that we have measles. That is not the case. I said, but would you like us to tear up the Constitution? I mean, parents have rights. And I said, I will always stand by parental rights. And honestly, if the pharmaceutical companies believe that their vaccine of any kind, if MMR is giving people pause for concern, then it's the pharmaceutical company's job to bring out all the data and to convince parents that it's safe. And this is the reason, right? This is not government saying you must do this. This should be the pharma world who's trying to keep people well, coming out and convincing parents, getting an argument on the other side to say, no, this is safe, and let me tell you why.
Yeah.
It's not us to force parents to do anything.
Yeah. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette is with us today. There's just been a lot of news just this past week about items like this. For example, it seems like adults are finally waking up, I guess, and realizing that parents need to have some control and be able to make these decisions for their kids. This week, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons recommended that gender-affirming surgeries be delayed until patients turn 19. Now, this was after a young lady in New York won a $2 million settlement from a doctor who performed surgery on her at the age of 16 when she thought she wanted to be a little boy. She now knows that was a mistake. Yeah. Of course, it's too late to reverse the surgeries. And her case has kind of sent shockwaves through the medical community because there are about 25, 26 other cases already in the court system, probably more to come. But, these types of things are crazy. And you read about the parents in this case. And the parents said that the doctors basically told them, if you don't allow us to do this to your daughter, then she's going to commit suicide. Well, what's a parent to do if a doctor's saying your child's going to commit suicide if you don't do this? They were just pressuring them to make this decision.
And that's why we have to always stand by parents. You get no rule book when you take that baby home from the hospital. So you have to rely on your gut instincts. And what I would say to everybody is nobody loves your child more than you do. Yep. Nobody knows your child and how they think better than you do. And that's why I believe parental rights is so important, because you have to make those decisions, and you shouldn't but you're right. If somebody came to me and told me one of my kids, you would do anything to make sure your child didn't hurt themselves. But how crazy is it that for years, Joey, we've been hearing, well, kids can't really make informed decisions till they're 25 because their brain isn't developed until they're 25. On one hand, the medical community is telling you that. And then on the other hand, the medical community is saying, if your 10-year-old wants to change their gender, go ahead and let them. Yeah. It's like you can't have it both ways. You have to have it. And this is where doubt comes in for parents. When on one hand, they're saying one thing, on another hand, you hear another thing, then you start to wonder, do they really even know? Yeah. And that's where this doubt comes in, and I think we got to do better at really like coming up with what we think a good argument is. And it should be based on data, and it should be based on science. I mean, Joey, I want to go on the record and say that the lieutenant governor running for governor does not believe men can have babies. I mean, this is a crazy argument. Every time I turn on the TV, it seems like there's another congressional hearing, or there's another. I mean, Jesse Waters had his guy out on the street asking people, and I was shocked, Joey. Let's just get this right. Only women, and I am proud that I'm a woman, and I'm the only. I mean, women are. I'm part of the gender that is the only part of our genders that can have babies. Yes. Right? This is insane to me. And when you start having doctors on Congress being questioned, and the most basic biological question gets asked,
Yeah.
And they don't know how to answer it. This is a bad day for science. This is why nobody believes you.
It makes no sense. I mean, it is a yes/no answer in every case. There's no exceptions. And I saw that same segment with Jesse Waters, and I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, people were standing there like, well, now let me think about this for a minute, and some of them just wouldn't answer. And I'm thinking, you are just nuts.
I know this is not a trick question.
Yeah,
you know. I don't know. So I figured I should go on the record just in case any future voter out there was wondering if I had any doubts. I have zero doubts. Only women can have babies.
All right, we're clear on that now. We've cleared that one up for you.
Thank you. I almost feel compelled now because everybody keeps asking people.
Yes. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, it's always fun, always a pleasure to have you. Have a good one.
Thanks so much, Joey. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Get out and get in the sun. Get some vitamin D.
At the White House briefing this week, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt did not dodge the question. She just took it head on. The question was, what was the issue? Well, the FBI executing a search warrant in Fulton County, seizing ballots and election-related documents tied to the 2020 election. Suddenly, the media wants to know, is this politicized? Now, hold on for that thought for just a minute there. The search happened back in January, a few weeks back, in the county that includes Atlanta. And what really set off alarms in the press room was the presence of Tulsi Gabbard, who was deployed on the ground as part of an election security assessment. Reporters framed it, that's very unusual for Ms. Gabbard to be there. Democrats called it alarming. And the media asked the questions they always ask when it's this administration. Is there any indication of foreign interference? Are the Russians at it again? Leavitt didn't let it slide. She reminded the room that election security is literally part of the DNI's job, and that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Ms. Gabbard, was working alongside the FBI to make sure American elections are safe, secure, and free from foreign influence. This is another one of those issues that the American people spoke very loudly about in the elections of 2024. And also, in typical Karoline Leavitt fashion, she made it very clear the president fully supports both Ms. Gabbard and FBI Director Kash Patel in carrying out the mission. Here's the exchange.
Did President Trump himself ever ask DNI Gabbard to head down to Fulton County, Georgia?
The president was asked and answered that question just yesterday. I've seen a lot of the media in this room get very caught up with the semantics of why Tulsi Gabbard is there. I will tell you why, and the president agrees with this, because election security is essential to national security. And as the Director of National Intelligence, it is a part of Ms. Gabbard's role to make sure that American elections are free of foreign interference and that American elections are safe and secure. And so the ODNI director is working with the FBI on this effort, and the president wholeheartedly supports both Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard in ensuring that American elections are safe, are secure, and are free of foreign intervention.
Is there any indication that there's foreign influence?
Federal law enforcement's involvement in the search
warrants. Excuse me one second. It's the media who has said that there's Russian interference in American elections. You guys have been saying that for many, many years. So the people
in Fulton County.
Well, the people in this room, considering that you all said for many years that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump, you should all be very happy that we finally have an administration that is looking into that, and we'll be happy to keep you posted.
Slam dunk. I mean, so if that's the standard, if foreign interference has been treated as a legitimate concern for nearly a decade, then why the outrage when this administration actually looks into election security? That's the question hanging in the air. And here's where the contrast matters. When the media spent years promoting the claims of Russian interference in 2016, I mean, how many times did we hear about Russian interference? They praised investigations. They demanded transparency. They insisted that that we scrutinize every detail. But now when federal authorities seize election materials from a county at the center of controversy, suddenly it's framed as intimidation. Leavitt drove that point home. She told the room they should be happy an administration is finally taking election security seriously and that the White House would keep them posted. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Mueller investigation wrapped up in March of 2019 after 2 years, millions of dollars, and endless headlines. What did it find? No evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. That's not opinion. It's not it's the final conclusion of the investigation that dominated American politics for years. So here we are in 2026. The FBI seizes 2020 election materials. The DNI is involved in an election security assessment, and Fulton County is now filing motions and even threatening lawsuits demanding the return of those documents. Fulton County is innocent. They would never think about doing anything wrong. Yeah. Meanwhile, the same media outlets that once treated election interference as a true threat to the country are suddenly worried about who is doing the investigation. Because, again, this gets back to because Donald Trump is doing it, it must be bad. There's nothing consistent about that. Now, none of this means wrongdoing has already been proven. I have to be fair about it. Doesn't mean foreign interference has been established. Probably not. But it does mean the federal government is exercising oversight, the same kind the media once demanded. And that's where this conversation really sits. If election integrity really matters, don't you think that Fulton County would want to cooperate fully? Don't you think the media would want to be hand in hand, side by side with Ms. Gabbard and the FBI to make sure that we have a thorough investigation? If foreign interference is a concern, it's a concern regardless of which party is in power, right? And if investigations are only acceptable when they target one side, then this was never about democracy in the first place. This was never about our republic. It wasn't about true election integrity. It was all politics on the Democrat side. It was all Trump derangement syndrome because it was one way that they were convinced. Hillary Clinton was convinced. Nancy Pelosi, Chucky Schumer, they all just knew we're going to put Donald Trump in jail. He's been colluding with the Russians. We're going to prove it. He's back in the White House. After all of that, the American people elected him again in 2024 with one of the largest victories in the history of presidential politics. The administration says that it's committed to safe, secure elections. The FBI says it's following the evidence like any true investigation should. And the White House, through Karoline Leavitt, says it's going to keep the public informed. We're going to know every detail. Now, the question now is not why they're looking. The question is why so many people are suddenly nervous about what they're looking at and what they might find. What do you think? Do you think that Fulton County there may be a little hanky-panky going on down in Fulton County with their election process? I mean, I don't trust anything that comes out of Fulton County. Do you? Or am I just overreacting here? Love to get your feedback. Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Don't you just love it when the Democrats just get all up in the arms because of something like this? That all you could hear, all we heard about was election integrity, Russian interference. But now, when the Trump administration is actually looking in to rule out anything like that in Fulton County, suddenly it's all hands off. You're intimidating people. What a bunch of hypocrites. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at FurmanFord.com, FurmanFord.com. Next month, on March the 16th, filing for the midterm party primary elections will take place. David Atchley, an upstate businessman, says he'll be stepping into the political arena as a candidate for South Carolina's 4th Congressional District, presently being represented by Congressman William Timmons, who has indicated he will also be seeking re-election. Mr. Atchley joins us on the guest line today. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Well, how are you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate your time today. Let's start with the basics. You're stepping into a race against a sitting congressman. What ultimately motivated you to run for the 4th District seat? Was there a specific issue or maybe a specific moment that sort of crystallized that decision for you?
Well, I didn't just step in. I mean, running for office has been a lifelong journey for me. I had the privilege back in my Daniel High School days to work for Strom Thurmond as the Senate floor page, and when I worked for him in Washington, D.C., he called me in the office in his great way and said, "Son, you're not up here to have fun. You're up here to learn at a very high level, and you got to promise me one thing. You got to promise me in your lifetime you're going to run for some sort of political office. That could be city council, school board, but he said, I expect, since you're learning at the best level, that you'd run for some federal office." That was back when I was 16, was able to take that. My father was president of Clemson. We spent many time with Representative Campbell back in the days, many times listened to him. And I grew up with, maybe you don't know, out in Missouri, under the Limbaugh name. So my mom was related to Rush Limbaugh. So I had a lot of different conservative values and carried that forward in my business career in the district and other places. And 40 years of experience making impact through nonprofits, for-profits, but an immediate impact in the district. So why now? I think the district needs attention. Yeah. It needs impact. And I look at my why is to bringing impact to the region as well as Washington, D.C.
You've talked about your career in business. What aspects of that business career do you believe prepare you to serve effectively in Congress?
Right. Well, I have a range of experiences, starting in the law enforcement world. I had a software business in the 911 space where we would build systems for police, fire, and EMS. So I know the importance of the mission of law enforcement and making sure we have safe communities at a very grassroots level and servicing them for many years. And then obviously I was born and raised in education. And then I serviced in education, worked for Wofford College, worked for Presbyterian College, and ultimately at Mary Baldwin, running capital campaigns with huge impacts for the school, but for the region. And, I had the opportunity working K through 12. Now I have a consulting business that works with 16 different brands throughout the regions and all different elements of life. So impact and raising money. Hey, collectively, I've raised $700 million directly impacting the district. So my business background, my education background, uniquely qualifies me for running for this position for sure.
Yeah. David Atchley is my guest today. He will be filing next month to run in the 4th District Republican primary. David, if elected, talk with us about some of those specific issues. Give us your top 3 priorities that you believe that you would need to address as the 4th District Congressman.
Right. So obviously working on the district and the leaders and making this the best district in the country is a top priority. Working with business leaders to recruit industry, build infrastructure to support that industry is a top priority. So I will be in the district. Equally, I'll be in D.C. in some areas that are different, that I think are important for national issues. I grew up in Missouri on a farm, and I know the farming crisis that is on the horizon. And I speak for it now. We have farmland out there, and we have just lost 200-year generational farmers that did our family well for many years. So I would look at, we need to find solutions around making sure our farmers are the most protected asset in this country. We're built on agriculture. We do not want to lose our agriculture, our food source, to other countries. So that needs to be a priority. It's not talked about often, but I do know it firsthand. Yeah. The other two elements that are differentiating is mental health. I think a lot of the systemic problems we have out there with shootings and other things are based on mental health. We don't invest in enough of that, and a lot of that's an insurance problem, medical problem, but we have to invest more in mental health and make that a priority. And then lastly, it's talked about a lot. It's a great tool. Artificial intelligence, as we know it today, is a great tool. However, it can be a misused tool. And we don't have enough boundaries around artificial intelligence. We need those to come quickly, because for every great use, there are misuses, and ignoring that only allows future problems that we're not going to get ahead of in the future.
David Atchley is with me today. He is an upstate businessman, says he's going to be talking his hat in the ring in the upcoming Republican primary for the 4th District congressional seat. David, this week, Congressman Timmons voted against the House leadership's plan to end the partial shutdown. He and 20 other Republican representatives opposed the bill supported by President Trump, and they gave these reasons. Lawmakers argued the bill needed to include provisions to shore up election integrity. It should come with a full year funding for the Department of Homeland Security and eliminate Democrat-requested earmarks. If you were in Congress, would you have also voted against this? And what's your response to this?
I mean, obviously, it's something new to me. I'd have to study that and look at that. But all that needs to be evaluated and needs to be discerned so that, we aren't just necessarily going with one way or another. It does come with great discernment, and the votes are important to look at it that way, for sure.
One of the things over the years, and I've been around for a while, involved in Republican politics, I don't hear Republican candidates talking much about balancing the budget anymore. That used to be a mainstay. You mentioned Congressman Carroll Campbell. He always ran on the platform of balancing the budget. Talk with us about that. I mean, what is the national debt now? Where are we with that? And what would you do to balance the budget and start paying that debt off too?
All right. So, the deficit's mid $30 trillion. It's unheard of, right? Yeah. And it's one thing that we need to make cuts, but we need to make meaningful cuts that are sustainable. And there is waste and fraud in everything, in all programs. We need to identify the waste and fraud using tools like AI. That would probably be a good use of that, to not just identify, but eliminate it. But we need to eliminate it, not just talk about it. So to reduce wasteful spending comes with action. So you get a law, I don't know what our interest payment on this a year. It's probably $4 trillion is my guess. Yeah. We have got to be disciplined and be able to run this like a business. I've run a business. I don't run a business in the red, or I'd be out of business. So we do need to do more than just talk about it. We need to act on it.
Yeah. Congressman Timmons is he's in the middle of his 4th term. In your view, what is the biggest difference between your approach and his? And let's just be honest here. It's tough taking on an incumbent. Why should the voters of the 4th District make a change now?
Well, my record, for sure, my experience. I'll put my record and my experience up against anybody. That is very important. Working in the district with my experience in the best district in the country will be a top priority and needs to be focused on. As far as in Washington, there are things that can be done, that need to be done for the district. And, just the MSA, as far as, I don't know if you know what that means, but in Washington, it's Spartanburg and Cherokee and Union. Here in Greenville, it's Greenville, Pickens, Oconee, and Anderson. Those are separate districts in Washington. You combine them, you're number 18 in the country, like Salt Lake City is. That gets many more looks. That gets more federal funding. And, we have to also invest in our infrastructure. You don't grow without infrastructure, education to have great jobs available. But we, once again, live in the best district in the country. And focusing on those, I do believe that, and I didn't just hop in this. I've been doing a lot of interviews since May. Everyone tells me focus on the district, just like Thurman did.
Yeah.
Just like Carol Campbell did. Those are great leaders that serve their district, and that's why I'm different. Yeah. I will serve my district.
Along those same lines, let's talk about how you will serve the people of the 4th District, as far as accessibility, accountability. And let me just give you an example. I've been in a number of meetings over the years of public functions where Congressman Timmons has readily given out his cell phone to voters. Is this something you'll do? And also talk about term limits. Will you, or is there a certain number of terms that you will pledge to serve? How long is too long as a member of the U.S. House?
So to answer the first part of that question, I do believe it's important to be accessible at all times. But not only that, hold town hall meetings, go to hospitals, listen to the leaders, see what their issues are so you can make a difference not only in the district but in D.C. You got to understand what the constituents do. As far as term limits, I'm absolutely for term limits. To me, it's three terms in Congress, which equals about one term in the Senate, right? And building a better future to hand that off. But ultimately, I do believe this, that term limits are in the voters' hands, right? If they don't want me to serve, they need to turn me out or defeat me in the election. It's ultimately to the voter to decide what term limits are. So that's my goal, is to get them and term limit Mr. Timmons out.
Sure. David Atchley is with us today. In our final moment or so, David, is there any specific message you have to voters? And if listeners would like to reach out to you, how do they find out more about David Atchley?
Well, obviously I have a website and can visit that. However, email me at datchley@frontier.com, or my website has a portal to email me. Love to hear what the issues are out there. What are you thinking? It's a big district. Without listening, you don't know how to apply action. So I would say go there, volunteer. If you do support me, we need an effort at all levels. Spartanburg, Greer, and Greenville is the district, and I'm going to work hard throughout the district.
Yeah. David, appreciate your time today, and hey, we'll be following as the campaign progresses.
Yeah, love to come back on and give you whatever updates whenever you want, however you want, for sure.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com. And I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.